Darrell Henderson, and what the Rams should be doing after this, because as you know, Cam Akers did go down earlier in the offseason, and I know a lot of fans could be panicking about the running back situation. I'm going to be going over what I think that they should do, and I'm going to be talking about this Darrell Henderson injury. Luckily, it is not as serious as Cam Akers' injury was earlier in the offseason, but there still leaves a little bit of a concern for us Rams fans, as we're still just kind of figuring out that running back group over here in LA, since with Akers going down, that kind of put an emphasis on this Rams running back group, and they're really evaluating. And Anderson is expected to be coming back here by the when we play the Bears, so we're gonna have Henderson back. Is what it's looking like by week 1. But one thing that kind of raises some questions for me about this Darrell Henderson injury is, obviously with a sprained thumb, that's nothing as serious as what Cam Akers had to go through. It's definitely still a serious thing you got to think about, but it's nothing as serious as that. So for me, just the thing that raised a red flag for me and something that just kind of piqued my interest is, okay, now that this happened, guys who can be aggressive in going after pieces that he actually wants and guys that he actually needs or thinks that he needs on this team. So I could definitely see him going out and getting somebody to help this group out. I can definitely see that for sure. But for me, one thing that raises some questions about this injury is, Darrell Henderson has an injury past, going back into college, but also last year when he was injured versus the Seahawks. So we already saw a couple injuries with him before, and then this one obviously is not as this one is not as serious as the ones in the past, but it's still something to consider. Like, okay, if Henderson was to go down any weeks in the regular season, what would the Rams do? Like, it should be. I think that we may get a replacement running back here, just for that concern, because with sprained thumbs or anything sprained, it is one of those things that just can kind of linger longer than you would expect. Even though this is not much of a serious injury, in my opinion, it is something that you still have to watch and keep your eye on, because they can tend to linger a little bit longer than you would like. Sometimes they go away fast. It's really depending on what person it is and if you re-injure it, whatever. But, some of the things that goes across my mind in this injury is, okay, it's not serious, but Henderson has had this injury past. Guys behind him have had an injury past. I mean, you look at Xavier Jones, I think that this is a guy who could step up and who does not have as many injury concerns to me as Jake Funk tearing his ACL twice in college. So this is one of those things that, for me, I feel like our running back group, even if we did running back by committee, you would have to look at those injuries. And, with Henderson getting this injury now, well, while it is not serious at all, you still have to think about that. All these running backs have that pass, and it's a physical sport. So should you go out and get a running back? That's just some of the questions that are going through my head. And again, knowing Les Snead, knowing the way that he operates for our organization, loving to go after trade for players, going out there, even just doing something as simple as just signing a free agent running back, I don't think would hurt us. I'll get more into some of the names. I'm sure some of you guys have some opinions on some specific players you'd like to see as well. Let me first get into some of these comments that we got. I appreciate everybody coming through and hearing my opinions. And if you would like to share your opinions in the comments, you can do so as well. But we got Matthew Cardenas. Welcome into the stream. He says, all the Rams running or halfbacks keep getting injured. Yeah, I think with Akers, that was definitely unfortunate. Luckily, I mean, again, with Henderson, it's not a season-ending injury. That's something that is definitely a very positive silver lining you can look at. But yeah, we do have some injury past, and then Henderson coming up with this injury. While it isn't serious, yeah, we are having some injury concerns at that running back position for sure. Appreciate you coming through though, Matthew. Peo Time says, hey, welcome to the stream, Peo. Thank you so much for coming through. He also says, I think it's time to sign someone. Yeah, I do think so as well. But I'll get more into that in a little bit here, just getting into some of these comments. Kelly Ram Fan 100, welcome to the stream. I appreciate you coming through. I haven't seen you in here before. I know a lot of people come through here, so I could have forgotten you, but I appreciate you coming through likewise. Says, what up, what up? Looks like Le'Veon Bell coming to LA. I mean, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I mean, Le'Veon Bell's an interesting prospect. He's not a guy that, like, I would say that he's not really a guy that I'm looking towards when signing because of his locker room presence. I mean, that's just my opinion on it, but that would definitely be interesting. He definitely has the talent for sure. But thank you for leaving your comment there, California or Cali Ram Fan 100. Somebody says, Sony Michelle. Yeah, I like that name. That'd definitely be an interesting one to bring in as well. Uh, somebody says, or Devontae Freeman. For some reason, I'm not as much into Devontae Freeman as some other people may be. I mean, for me, he's a pretty good player. I just don't like his game as much as some other people do. Let's see. Somebody says Kareem Hunt. I honestly don't see us going out doing that. I mean, we definitely have a general manager who would do that. It would definitely be less need. But I think that the Browns like him and they would demand a high price. We don't really need a bell cow type of guy. Definitely, I think bringing in a veteran or bringing in a guy from free agency to, kind of balance out that running back group and give some stability, I think would help. Somebody says Adrian Peterson. Yeah, I agree with that one. Let's see. What's up, Patrick Jennings? Welcome to the stream. He says, hashtag go Rams go for sure, man. Peo Time says Latavius Murray is my first choice. I think that's definitely a good running back. Great take there, Peo. So yeah, I think for me, again, this injury is not supposed to be like this is not looked to be something that's an injury that we got to be very, very concerned about. The Rams even said themselves, some of the reporters as well. This is a day-to-day thing. This is nothing serious, so it's not like we need somebody to come in, take over for the whole season, like what happened with Cam Akers' injury, and then we had to see Henderson step through. It's nothing like that. But it is something to me that just raises some questions with the injury if somebody were to go down, like I was mentioning earlier, in this running back group. And so I think to me, something that I look at is, yeah, I am confident in this running back group, but let's just say this thumb strain or sprain or whatever, let's just say that lasts longer than I expect. Let's say it goes 2 to 3 weeks into the season. That is not likely, but it could happen definitely because sprains are just like that sometimes. It can really vary with any player. But if that were to happen, you need some depth. I don't see Xavier Jones and Jake Funk being the number 1 and number 2 guys for 2 or 3 weeks in a season, 2 or 3 games, or even one game. Like, they could definitely do it, but I don't see that happening. So that's just something to have some questions about, and having some questions about this running back group as a whole and the injury past that they have. And, if a guy was to go down, you need a running game. You really do with any offense to help balance out the running and passing game. And more than ever in this Rams offense, they need a guy, they need a running game at least to be consistent to help out the passing game. So I mean, that's my take. I'm definitely confident in the rookies, and even, well, I guess in the rookie and Jake Funk, but we saw Raymond Calais go down as well, so now we're down to Xavier Jones and Jake Funk in there, and Darrell Henderson's day to day. We'll see how long it takes him to come back, but those are just kind of my concerns, and that would be my reasons for getting a running back in here. See. Cali Ram Fan 100 says Stafford throwing for 1,000 this year. Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that for sure. Can't wait to see what Stafford does with us, though. Totally Not Jay, welcome to the stream. Says, wait, what happened to him? I just got off work. All right, yeah, so he did sprain his thumb. Again, this is something that is day to day. It is something that, it's not a serious injury by any means, Totally Not Jay, but they can tend to linger a little bit longer, and it kind of does make me aware to, oh yeah, let's say a Henderson goes down the regular season. We only got 2 backs. I think it would not be a bad idea to bring somebody in. But welcome in there, Totally Not Jay. Appreciate you coming through. See, Master Blaster, welcome to the stream. He says, who is on that XFL waiver wire? I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I don't really keep up with that as much as I probably should. I didn't really keep track of more of the NFL stuff, but that's a great question, man. Yeah, here it is. Payo Time says, I gotta go hit that like button, randomly, horns up. I appreciate you coming through, Payo Time. Definitely hit that like button, and I just appreciate any of you guys coming through to support the channel. Let's see. Kelly Ram Fan says, or Kelly Ram Fan 100 says, can we get James Robinson since they have ETN? I mean, that would be interesting for sure. I do think they like James Robinson. To me, I am looking more towards the free agent route. I mean, a trade definitely is not off the table with less need. I'm honestly looking more towards the free agents and some guys that are out there that they can go out and sign. Again, we don't need a superstar. Henderson should be back eventually, and they're expecting him to be back by week 1, but, we'll see how that goes with the sprained thumb. James Robinson would be interesting for sure, but, we'll see what happens. I do think that there's there's definitely some good talent we have in free agency. Let's see. Good take, bro. Appreciate it. Totally Not Jay says, honestly, I think Xavier Jones can be the starter, just needs more experience. Yeah, I do like Xavier Jones's game. Like, I honestly do like what he brings to the table. I think his elusiveness really fits this offense, and the speed he brings to the table fits this offense. I mean, a lot of the traits that he has does fit this offense. It's just really about, like, let's just say it's an injury that happens to any one of those running backs, then we are really getting to a thin running back room. And I think that if it came down to Xavier Jones and Jake Funk, yeah, they could definitely do it. But I definitely think I would be comfortable if we went out and signed a veteran free agent, whatever. I do think Henderson can take this year, and I do think that if he comes back in time and doesn't miss a lot of time, which he's not expected to, I definitely do think he can tote the rock, and I do think our offense is not as dependent on the running game as the Tennessee Titans offense is. And so that's something encouraging. We do have Stafford, but you also do need to provide a good running game. So Xavier Jones definitely could still work for us, and I do like what I see. I do prefer him over Jake Funk, just because he's got a little bit more experience. He's got a little bit more time in the NFL, and then I do think Xavier Jones, his talent really does fit this offense. We'll see how his pass protection does. But again, Henderson is expected to come back by week 1. But again, with those sprains, it's kind of interesting, and it kind of raises some red flags about if he were to get re-injured in another way, because he had an injury last year, he had some in college, and this one pops up. It just kind of gets your interest peaked, and we'll see what happens, especially with this Rams front office. They are definitely aggressive. Neil Gonzalez, welcome to the stream. He says, no, I think Jones and Funk are good enough to carry the team until Hendo is back. Yeah, and again, Hendo is not expected to miss a lot of time for sure. And so that is definitely good. It's not a season-ending injury. It's not a 9-week injury. Nothing like that. They're saying day to day. It's just, at some point, you got to look at your running back group and say, okay, if a guy was to go down, can we trust these guys to tote the rock, take us down the whole season, or how much time the running backs miss? And sounds like Neil Gonzalez has confidence in the guys behind Henderson. I do as well, but I think at some point you got to look at some of these guys in free agency or some other options. But great, thank you so much for coming in, Neil. Somebody says Carlos Hyde. That is a good option as well. I believe he's on a team, though. I could be wrong, but I think he's on a team. I do think that some of the free agents out there are definitely worthy enough to come into this Rams organization and make an impact for sure. Let's see. LeVar Ball, welcome to the stream. He says, if only the running back room was like the wide receiver room. Yeah, our wide receiver room is stacked for sure. But I appreciate you coming in and commenting, LeVar Ball. I definitely do appreciate you coming through. Thank you so much. Let's see. 4th and 20, welcome in. He says, can we just sign a running back? Shaking my head. Yeah, for me, the thing that I look at in this situation where, yeah, you should maybe go out and add some depth. You should sign a guy to help out this group just in case more injuries happen, like Henderson's injury. That's definitely something that you look at. I'd say if something happens, I don't think they, with this injury, I don't think they jump the gun in signing somebody right before that huge roster cut coming next week. I don't see them doing that personally. I think if they do go out and sign somebody, it would probably be after they make some roster cuts or some big moves, because you gotta take some guys off, and you gotta cut some guys, wave some guys off the roster, and it's coming up to where you get a lot of guys off this roster. There's going to be a lot of controversial people going off of there. I say after they do all that adjustment, all of that stuff, after they do that and that huge roster thing, then they bring in a guy after they've evaluated everything. For me personally, I just do think that bringing in a veteran, bringing in somebody in free agency at that running back position would be adding value, and it would definitely stabilize that group for sure. But if they do it, I definitely peg it next week after the big cuts come in. North South 40, welcome to the stream. He says, we need 2 running backs, no running game, no Super Bowl. I mean, that's definitely an interesting take. I definitely could see Rams winning the Super Bowl with their passing game and going heavy with that. But yeah, you definitely do need a running game for sure. Let's see. Mark Breon, welcome to the stream. He says, next man up. Definitely. Let's see. Trade for Sony Michel is what DJ McDowell says. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting prospect. I do like Sony Michel, definitely. I think he could fit us very well. But, we'll see what happens for sure, man. Kelly Ramfan 100 says, Bell is better than all these names. If we can get him on a veteran minimum deal, hands down, but it would be... but I would settle for LaShawn McCoy. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And again, I think with Le'Veon Bell, you just got to be considering the locker room presence that he is. Maybe I'm making a bigger deal out of it than it really is, but I just think his presence, and I feel like he would expect to get a ton of carries and stuff, especially with the past he's had with some of these teams. So I'm not sure I like Le'Veon Bell, but I definitely like his skills he brings as well. Let's see. Totally Not Jay says thoughts on Devlin Hodges getting cut. Thought it was an interesting since he only played one preseason game. Yeah, I'd probably say for me, Devlin Hodges is a guy that we all saw in that first preseason game that Bryce Perkins did outplay him. And then in the second preseason game, he did not get any time at all in the whole game. It was all Bryce Perkins. It was the Bryce Perkins show. And I think the Rams liked what they're seeing out of Bryce Perkins. They already liked him in the first place. I think Devlin Hodges was a stability thing they did for quarterback because I believe they brought him in before they brought Stafford in. So I think that in that case, I was surprised that they did not give Hodges one more game to prove himself in preseason. But I was definitely expecting the cut because I think Perkins offered a lot, and then they love Wolford. Obviously, they're sitting him throughout the whole preseason. So when I look at that cut where they get rid of Duck, does not surprise me. I just thought that they might give him one more game. But those are my overall thoughts. Great question though. Let's see. North House 40 says Gurley only good for short yardage in red zone. Yeah, Gurley still definitely provides some of the value that you want in a running back. I definitely see where people are coming from with that, and it'd be interesting to see. I think it's just going to be interesting to see how the Rams handle this situation with the injuries. Are they going to be completely confident with the guys they have, try to do running back up by committee? But even if you do running back by committee, you need to have some guys staying healthy as well. So it's going to be interesting to see their approach for sure. 4th and 20 agrees, says, yeah, we should get Sony Michel. He's definitely a good prospect. Let's see. Kelly Ram Fan 100 says Perkins is greater than Hodges. Yeah, I think that Perkins, I definitely like him better than Hodges, and we'll see what happens. Let's see. 4th and 20 says, do you think Perkins is better than Wolford? That's a great question. I think that they're both good in their own ways. Obviously, they're both mobile and dynamic. Something I do like about John Wolford, though, that I want to bring up here is I do like that Wolford is the type of guy who likes to sling the football, who loves to throw. He likes to take those shots. And, Bryce Perkins, what I do like about him is he's always poised in the pocket. He's not worried about pressure, and he can break away, use that mobility as well. I think they're both really good candidates, but I do think that Wolford's work ethic is really good. And, I'd probably take Wolford just by a little bit, but Perkins is a guy I can definitely see going to another team if we waive him, because I don't know if we'll keep 3 quarterbacks. And I think the Rams want to see him shine somewhere else because they want to showcase him as much as they can for other teams. My hope is he doesn't go to Seattle as Shane Waldron. I mean, that's kind of where I'm pegging him going if they waive him. But yeah, great question there. It's definitely a tough one. David Robinson, welcome to the stream. He says Le'Veon Bell. I mean, I've already expressed what I think about Le'Veon Bell. Interesting prospect. He's definitely got the skills and the traits you're looking for. It's just really about the ego and some of the locker room stuff he brings, that you might not want. But he definitely has the skills. Kelly Ramfan says Perkins can be better than Wolford. That's very interesting. Perkins definitely has a ton of talent. But I know that the Rams was just sitting Wolford throughout the whole preseason. That's kind of telling you that they like what they have in Wolford. So it's interesting to see what happens there. Let's see. Totally Not Jay says Perkins is definitely not better than Wolford. Yeah, interesting. Definitely something I see Rams fans split about the Wolford and Perkins thing. But what do you guys think? What running backs do you think we should bring in, if any? Are you confident in our group? What do you think about with the Darrell Henderson injury? Obviously, Cam Akers one was very disappointing, especially with him missing all the time that he's going to miss. Henderson, I do think it should be back soon. They say day to day with that, but bringing in somebody to me is definitely a good idea to stabilize that group. And it's going to be very interesting to see the way the Rams attack this, especially because they're a very aggressive front office and organization there. Well, what do you guys think? Let's see. Neil Gonzalez says maybe pick up the big back 220 pounds off waiver wire. Definitely would be interesting for sure. Annette Mendoza, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you. He says, I'm low-key not worried. Yeah, I mean, you said I'm low-key worried. Yeah, I mean, I do like the way that the Rams coach up their running backs, but I do think if it ends up getting to a point where Henderson re-injures himself or do whatever in the regular season, I'm not sure how I feel about Xavier Jones and Jake Funk leading the way. So I think definitely getting a free agency running back there to kind of stabilize the group would definitely be not a bad idea at all. Let's see. Great question. Says how long is Henderson's injury? So yeah, it's they're saying day to day, but with sprains, especially in the thumb, it's one of those things where you could re-injure it pretty easily, and sometimes it lingers a lot longer for other people. Sometimes it's very quick, so it's kind of a questionable injury. But they're saying day to day for Darrell Henderson. So bringing in a guy for me, a veteran, just in case it gets re-injured, just in case anything happens in the running back group later. I can see the Rams bringing in a running back to whether it be an older one, whether it be a younger one. I could definitely see them doing that, especially with them cutting Raymond Calais. Let's see. Northhouse 40 says Bryce or Wolf, future QB1. Great question. I'd probably go with Wolf. It's definitely a really good question, but I do like what Wolford brings just a little bit more than Bryce. But Bryce, I definitely can see landing on another team and doing great there as well. North Dallas 40 thinks they'll keep 3 quarterbacks. Let's see. Cali Ram fans says, now Rams would stash him on the practice squad. Interesting take there. Jared Ramirez says, when it comes down to injuries, Akers is the one who started it. Yeah, I mean, definitely very sad for Akers there. Hopefully no more injuries happen, and hopefully this Henderson one goes quick. And, he's expected to be back by week 1, but we'll see what the Rams do in this organization. We'll see if they go after anybody for sure. And I definitely think it's not a bad idea to stabilize that group. Frog asks, he's only out for 1 week, right? He's day to day, but again, with sprains, it's one of those things that could last a long time. Well, not a long time, but it could last longer or shorter. It's really depending on the person. You can re-injure it, but it definitely raises some red flags in my opinion because our running back group does have some injury history for sure. North South 40 says Rams now have the worst running game in the NFC West. I mean, Henderson's expected to come back, but yeah, I definitely do think that we are lower with losing Akers for sure. Let's see. North South 40 is... Oh, wait, no. DJ McDowell says, do you think Van Jefferson will contribute significantly to the wide receiver room? I do see him being a very sneaky type of player because a lot of people are overlooking him because we got, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, D-Jax, and we have a very deep wide receiver group even behind those guys. And so Van Jefferson's kind of in limbo. They're trying to figure out, where are they going to put him as a wide receiver 3? Is it 4? I definitely think he's a sneaky guy that a lot of people overlook. And I definitely think he could contribute a lot into this offense, especially because not a lot of people look towards him first. They look towards Woods, Kupp, Tyler Higbee, and the running game as well. Great question, though. Totally Not Jay says, I want us to sign a veteran running back, but I don't know how bad our cap issue is. It's not the worst. It's not the best either. But definitely signing a veteran running back or somebody in free agency would not hurt us too bad. Wildman Samari, welcome to the stream. He says, let's see, Rams absolutely must sign 2 running backs to go with what we have right now. We have a Super Bowl caliber team, and we can't wait to waste that opportunity. I see LaShawn McCoy and TJ Yeldon. That's definitely a very strong group to bring in for us. I think I see for me, if you were to bring in somebody, I would probably bring in just one guy. And I think Henderson still can tote the rock well. It's just really about will he stay healthy the whole entire season for sure. Let's see. 4th and 20 says, is it true that they said Akers should be back by week 13? I heard many people say that. I did not hear that personally, so I cannot verify that. But great question. That would be interesting to see. But an Achilles injury is definitely one of those that does tend to last a long time. So it would be interesting, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But cannot clarify or verify that for you. Jared Ramirez says, but Snead and Demoff have no brains. They've made some pretty good moves in my opinion. Getting Stafford, obviously we'll see how that works out, and getting Ramsey, I think that they are definitely a good tandem. Jay says, unfortunately, the Rams will probably release Akers after his rookie contract ends. He's too injury prone. That's definitely an interesting take. I don't think he's too injury prone. We'll see how it works out. But I know that you can find a lot of running backs in this days. A lot of the times you don't need to be paying running backs all the time, but we'll see how that Akers thing works out. Champion Blitz says, hey man, what's up, Champion Blitz? North House 40 says, Chris Garrett, steal of the draft. Yeah, I love Chris Garrett. No, you're all good, Champion Blitz. The Dark Saver, sorry I was playing Doom, what's going on? Nothing much, Dark Saver, thank you so much for coming through. Just talking about this Henderson injury, how, thumb sprains or any sprain in general could last a little bit longer, it could go shorter, it really depends. I think bringing in a veteran running back or just a running back in general would not be a bad idea, just in case Henderson goes down again. Then we're left with just Funk and Xavier Jones, and I think we still have Otis Anderson Jr. as well. But thank you so much for coming through. 4th and 20 says, yeah, but True said that because he started walking already. Yeah, that's true. Dorthouse 40 says, don't call Henderson Tenderson. Yeah, hopefully he's not Tenderson for sure. Kelly Ram Fan 100 says, Bobby Brown balling out. Yeah, I love, I definitely think that the preseason is a good time to evaluate your talent. We're obviously doing that in the running game, and it looked pretty good last week. And then Bobby Brown was looking good. Obviously, Chris Garrett was looking good. And so, yeah, definitely a good time to evaluate, and we are looking pretty good there. Hopefully, we can get a running back or at least some steady running back performance, and Henderson can be back. Champion Blitz says maybe we put Perkins in his place. Well, yeah, maybe that would be interesting for sure. Is there any names of running backs that you guys have in mind that you want the Rams to bring in? I know some people have already done that. You can definitely drop them below in the comments. I'd definitely be interested to hear what other people think. Yeah, I definitely think getting a veteran guy would be nice, like Adrian Peterson, somebody like that. But now, like, if you think about if you think about Henderson going down in the future, in this season without Akers, I could definitely see them going after a guy that's younger. I could definitely see them being aggressive for sure. But they don't need, by any means, they don't need to go out and get a superstar for sure. I mean, I don't see the way the Rams going after getting somebody like that, but their organization is definitely very aggressive. Champion Blitz says, Todd Gurley is the GOAT. We should get him. He would definitely be an interesting prospect, especially with the fallout that happened. They're still paying him some dead cap money. I think Todd Gurley would definitely, again, be an interesting prospect. He still has some of the talent left. As long as the Rams aren't asking him to be the number one guy, which they will not be, and as long as he understands that he's not going to be the number one guy, that would definitely be an interesting signing, and he's not the worst running back in the league for sure. LeVar Ball, why is a vet needed? Running backs will pop up as rosters get cut. Yeah, that's definitely a great point. To me, the way I saw the veteran, like bringing in a veteran for this year on a 1-year cheap deal, definitely a cheap deal is what I would look for. Where I stand with that, with the veteran signing, is you not only get a guy who's proven himself and who's consistent in the league, doesn't need to be a number one guy, but you also can have some, development from some of your guys. And bringing in a veteran would definitely help develop some of these players. And so if you get those guys to help develop, and like an Adrian Peterson, somebody like that, and that helps develop them, and then you not only get a year with a consistent player who's proven himself, but you also get somebody who helps, teach up some of the younger guys and help them out. Let's see. Jamie Villett says, but honestly, I think we don't need one. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I do think the Rams do pick up, even if he's not, like, too much of a proven guy. I definitely think we do, pick somebody up before the regular season. Austin Eastman, welcome in the stream. I appreciate you coming through. He says, I say we don't sign a veteran running back. Yeah, I know a lot of people are against that. I do say for me, though, if Henderson plays the whole season, having a veteran would definitely help, especially if he's on a cheap deal. He'd definitely help, coach up some of the younger guys. And the Dark Saber, I appreciate you. He's always coming through with the super chats. He's definitely the GOAT as far as super chats go. He says, I think our running backs are right now are good. Like they might need some support, but I think they're good. I always say get Frank Gore. If we could probably sign him on a low deal. That's definitely interesting. And yeah, I'm still confident in our running back group. It's just really about not about the talent. It's really about how long they can stay healthy. Are they going to get injured? That's kind of my questions that are going through my head. But I definitely appreciate you, Dark Saber. Frank Gore would be interesting, and I definitely know that would definitely get some 49ers fans mad, and sometimes we love to see that as Rams fans. But I really do appreciate the super chat, man. I definitely do. Champ Bullet says, nice, totally not. Jay says, I wonder why Todd Gurley fell from grace so bad. He used to be the highest rated running back. I mean, yeah, it's that arthritis in the knee that really definitely, threw off his career. Otherwise, I think if he had stayed on that pace that he was going on, I definitely think he could have been a Hall of Fame running back for sure. Very sad story for Todd Gurley for sure. Let's see. Rams number one. Appreciate you coming through, man. I definitely love to get some new fans in here. I appreciate you commenting. Let's see what Rams number one has to say. He says, Jake Funk actually looked pretty good against the Raiders. Yeah, he did. I think our running back group as a whole looked pretty good against the Raiders. I do like Xavier Jones still just because he has a little bit more experience. He has the speed and shiftiness, which fits our running back, not our running back, our just offensive style as a whole. So, yeah, I definitely think they had some improvement, and that's what you got to evaluate when you're evaluating these running backs. But I appreciate you coming through, Rams number one. Totally not Jay says, vets are less injury prone, in my opinion. Yeah. LA Rams 420 football focus. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you coming through. He says, hey, Rams house, how's it going, man? Thank you so much for coming through. Let's see. Kelly Ram Fan 100 says, no, Gore, please. He is a Niner. We don't need ex-Niners. Shaking my head. No. Yeah, we definitely got some opinions. For me, I'm not really leaning towards Frank Gore much, but I could definitely see the Rams doing that. Now I'm leaning more towards them if they bring somebody in off of probably being cut or even just a younger guy. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at now. I definitely thought a veteran would be nice. And I still do, especially if Henderson is good for the whole year. But I could definitely see the Rams making a younger running back move. Champion Blitz says Jake Funk was popping off. Yeah, he was having a pretty good game. I think he had like 56 yards in that. And with our backup offensive lineman, he was looking pretty good there and had some pretty big runs as well. Brandon Allison says Jones was a beast. Yeah, he definitely was. I like Xavier Jones a lot. The Dark Saber says, did they cut anyone today? Yes, they did. Great question. So they cut Doc Hodges today, Raymond Calais, and who's the other guy? Paris Ford. So yeah, Duck Hodges, I think the timing of it surprised me just a little bit. I thought they would maybe play him one more preseason game, but I definitely think Perkins outplayed him. Raymond Calais was an interesting one because he didn't really play all last year after they got him from the Buccaneers, and then he had a good return, but then he got injured. He's out 4 to 6 months, so pretty much the whole season. And then they cut in. That was definitely interesting. Paris Ford, I don't think was shown enough, and our safety group's pretty deep. But those are the three they cut today, so great question there, Dark Saber. Brandon Allison, let's see what he says. He says, Jake Funk seems like he never quits, but he also has had an ACL injury in college. Yeah, I think he had 2 ACL tears in college, and to get to the NFL, it's definitely a great story. Hopefully he does well for sure. LA Rams 420 football focus says, what happened to Hendo? So he just sprained his thumb. They're saying day to day, but it's one of those things that can linger on longer, and you can re-injure it. And so it's just definitely something to look into, especially with us cutting Raymond Calais. Totally Not Jay says, Rams are notorious for signing veterans like Weddle and Talib also. Yeah, I definitely can agree with you on that, but also one thing that the Rams are very notorious for doing as well is, with their scouting department, they're able to find some very hidden gems like Darius Williams. He's a guy who was on the Ravens, and they claimed him off the Ravens, who really weren't using him much, and obviously, they just didn't see the talent in him, and then the Rams found a hidden gem, and now he's looking like this next year, after this season, he's setting up to get some big money, and so definitely the Rams are notorious for bringing in some veterans, but they're also good for finding those hidden gems. Would not be surprised if they do that again with this running back group. 4th and 20 says, I was watching Van Jefferson highlights right now. We could have won the Packers game, but Hill sold shaking my head off was ball in that game. Yeah, definitely. I think that Packers game that we had, we definitely could have won that game, and I definitely think we could have won, especially if we didn't have Goff in there. Well, I mean, Goff was playing pretty good, but I do think Stafford could have done better. And I think having no Aaron Donald in there, no Cooper Kupp, that definitely showed. And I think having no Donald on that offense really gave Rodgers a chance just to pick us apart left and right for sure. Let's see. Brandon Allison says, just want to pay major respect towards you, sir. Thank you for the knowledge, first-time follower. I appreciate you coming through, Brandon Allison, and the compliment. It definitely does help me out, keeps me going on this channel. I love to see the encouragement through this channel, and I love to talk some Rams with you, so definitely appreciate you, man. The Dark Saber says, how much money do we got to spend on people, though? Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I do think that there are guys that we can get for pretty cheap one-year deals for sure. I don't think we would spend a lot of money in this running back group, especially if Henderson comes back. He will come back, but if he comes back, plays the whole season, I think that we would definitely not invest a lot in the first place. Fourth and 20 in regards to the Rams versus Packers game last year says we weren't even healthy. Yeah, we weren't. And we were still pretty close to beating him. LA Rams 420 Football Focus says, is AP still available? He might be worth a grabbing. Yeah, I like Adrian Peterson for sure. He is still worth a grabbing. And yeah, he is still out there where if we wanted to bring him in, we could. And definitely not opposed to AP and the Horns for sure. Great question, though. EXD on top, appreciate you coming through. Says, you're a go. I always come in for your Rams news. Appreciate you, man. I definitely love the loyal, support and the loyal followers to this channel. And then, being monetized, it definitely does encourage me to keep making these things. And at the end of the day, I just love talking Rams with a bunch of other Rams fans in here or other fans in general. And so, yeah, I think that I was not expecting on doing a stream tonight, especially because there was nothing, no news really. And then the news broke about Henderson. Luckily, though, when I saw somebody commenting on my channel saying that, they said that Darrell Henderson was injured, I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. I didn't know if it was season-ending injury, but we definitely got lucky with it just being a thumb sprain for sure. GTO89 says, sign Adrian Peterson. Yeah, again, definitely not opposed to that idea at all. I do think that having a running back who's a veteran, who's proven himself, but also can coach up some of the younger guys, is definitely valuable. And Adrian Peterson is still got, surprisingly, with being at the age that he's at, he's still got some skills left, and he's definitely got some things to bring to this table for sure. But great job, great comment there, man. Brandon and Allison says, last one if I say Jones or Funk has our first string O-line, different story. But anyways, how about all them sacks that rookies got? Shows number one defense still, and it shows. Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely think that our running backs like Jake Funk or Xavier Jones or even Otis Anderson Jr. and then obviously Darrell Henderson when he comes back, them on the starting O-line is going to look different because our running backs in preseason, we never play starters. So as the backup running backs with the backup O-line, and even some teams that were playing against us were playing starters. And so, yeah, when you put him behind a starting O-line, that'll definitely help them out a lot. And as long as these guys can stay healthy, stay consistent, I think that's really all we need. We don't need bell cows. We don't need guys to carry the whole offense. We are not just a running offense-oriented team. We are a run and pass, and if anything, more passing favors, so that's definitely in our favor. And yeah, our rookies were looking great. Our pass rush was looking great against the Raiders. I'm glad that my guy Chris Garrett showed up against those Raiders. And yeah, I think our defense can definitely still be number one come September 12th, SoFi Stadium versus the Bears, which I'm very hyped for, to be honest with you. I cannot wait to see our Rams play against those Bears. Hopefully we get to play against Fields as well. Let's see, Sean McVeigh, welcome to the stream. He says, unpopular opinion, we should trade for Marlon Mack. That is definitely unpopular opinion. For me, honestly, when people are bringing up these trades and stuff like that, I'm not the biggest fan of a trade. I'm really not the biggest fan of the trade for a running back who wouldn't need to be a number one running back, who would not need to be stepping up the whole entire season, carrying this team. We're not run-oriented. We are also expected to have Henderson back. And the guys behind him are definitely capable enough. It's about just staying healthy. So I don't want to really make a trade, especially giving away more picks. We need all the picks we can get with that formula we got with trading for big names, obviously, and then hitting on those later round draft picks. And all the draft picks we have, it's definitely the ones I want to keep. And so, I'm not a big fan of the trade, but I think Marlon Mack is definitely a guy that has the talent. The Dark Saber says, no, that's a strange trade. Yeah, I mean, again, Marlon Mack definitely has some skills. He definitely has the things they're looking for in a running back, and he would be interesting to bring in. But for me, when I'm looking at that, again, I don't really want us trading for anybody. I mean, the Rams can definitely do it, and I'm still going to support them, obviously. But with the way our team works and with the way we go out and aggressively get big name players, we need to have all the other later round draft picks or even just second, third round draft picks. We can get hit on those guys and keep our formula going. I think that's the way I look at it. Unless you're trading for a huge name, a huge superstar, I don't really want to trade for a guy in the running back room who is going to be asked to step up as a second running back or just stabilize the group. LA Rams 420 Football Focus says, I think this team is good enough to win with almost any running back. We could be in the worst situation than having Funk or Jones starting in a couple weeks. Yeah, definitely. And again, having Henderson where he's not going to be out for the season definitely helps. I'm glad he's not going to be out for the season. And yeah, the Rams definitely can still get to the Super Bowl. They can still win the Super Bowl with the group that they got. I just think it's definitely something to consider signing somebody. Mark Breon says thoughts on Garrett's preseason coming out game. I mean, he just all but proved what I thought of Chris Garrett. I posted a video about how I thought he was going to be a superstar. He was a steal, and that he was, especially for a 7th-round pick to be doing that. I definitely think that they're going to start Justin Hollins again on the opposite side of Leonard Floyd. That's kind of their plan. He's had more time in the defense. But I loved what Garrett's, what he did in the preseason, and I definitely think he can step up opposite of Floyd eventually for sure. LeVar Ball says facts. Just need a backup for Jones and Funk. We all love AP for sure. Sheldon McVay says, and now that I think of it, Funk should be at number 2 back. He be breaking all of these tackles in preseason. Yeah, I know a lot of people are on that Funk train for sure. I'm not opposed to Funk, but I do want to see Xavier Jones at that running back 2 position. Definitely an unpopular opinion, but I think with him having more time in this offense last year, and then his shiftiness, his speed, I think that's what I like to bring to the table. Let's see, the Dark Saber says, darn, I just realized I hope our defense can still kill the Broncos next week, but I think our offense might be pretty good. Yeah, I definitely think that our defense can play well. I really hope our defense and Chris Garrett or our team just shows out, plays well, because I am going to be at that Broncos game next week at their stadium. I'm going to be watching these Rams live for sure. Very excited for that. Definitely to see that. It'll be my first NFL game that I'm going to. And so, yeah, I'm definitely very excited to see how we do against these Broncos. Hopefully we can get that pass rush. The Broncos have been playing amazing in preseason. They've been blowing out teams left and right, so we'll see how we do, though. Master Blaster says, Funk brings it. He's a player, for sure. LA Rams 420 Football Focus says, you think Funk gets the start over Jones if we go that route? I don't think so, honestly. I mean, he's a rookie. I do think that the Rams love and value what he brings to the table. But to me, just looking at it more logically, with the more time that Xavier Jones has had in this offense, with more time of him having all last year, and the shiftiness, the speed is definitely something that you like to see in a running back. And so I see the Rams going for Xavier Jones in that route. But yeah, as far as a backup to Henderson, not as the starter. But yeah, guys, I definitely really appreciate everybody who came through the stream. Was not planning on making it a long stream at all. Because, I was not planning on even doing a stream in the first place. I appreciate all the Rams fans stopping in and talking some Rams with me. I appreciate the super chats. I believe the Dark Saber was the one who has the super chats. Definitely blesses me and goes above and beyond supporting the channel. And if you do like Rams content, if you like Rams content in the first place, or you're just needing an outlet in general to catch some Rams news content, whatever, or just talk some Rams, this is definitely the place to go in the Rams house. You'll definitely be embraced and loved, and, I'll definitely be interacting with you in some future live streams. But again, I appreciate everybody coming through, supporting the channel, and Darksaber going above and beyond to donate to the channel. It really does help me out in the long run. And let's just go to these last couple of comments, and then I'm out of here. But I appreciate everybody coming through. Brandon Allen says, where are you from, bro? I'm from St. Louis, but right now I currently live in Colorado. He also says, Brandon Allen says, still here, die hard. Definitely. Brandon Allison says, thanks for the knowledge, bro. Great speaker. Appreciate it, man. And I appreciate you coming through North 40 as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much. As always, I hope you guys have an amazing night and a great rest of this work week for sure. And as always, horns up and God bless. You guys have an amazing day.